Welcome to the Social Engineer podcast, the Security Awareness Series, episode 154. I'm Chris Hadnagy, founder and CEO of Social Engineer LLC, social-engineer.org, and the Innocent Lives Foundation. And I've been hosting this podcast since 2009, which is just weird to say out loud. 2009. I've been podcasting. And I'm joined by the amazing and awesome Skoudis Ryan MacDougall with his Claymore. Nice to have you here today, Ryan.
Yeah, I don't have my Claymore near me. But anyway,
Oh, man.
yeah, hi Chris, thanks. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Social Engineer LLC. I'm also the lead open source intelligence trainer for SECom, having taught it multiple years at DEF CON, or not DEF CON, Black Hat DerbyCon, as well as private and public classes. I've also been in the information security industry for almost 24 years, with the last 9 being focused on adversary simulation and security awareness. So it's good to be here.
And you did teach at DEF CON, but you're more like speeches. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Teaching the masses and
I'm
speeches.
not really like hurt by this, but that speech that you gave about being an introvert has beaten all of my speeches. I'm not really saying I'm hurt by that, but I'm just saying it's whatever people.
Thanks.
I get it, yeah. Anyhow, this episode is sponsored by social-engineer.com, and we are your trusted information security company specializing in fully managed voice phishing or vishing programs, as well as email phishing programs and security assessments. I'm sure you can just to open any newspaper or any browser and type in any news website and you see another breach, another piece of ransomware, something happening that's horrific on the planet with scams. And it's just unbelievable. We could tell you stories until we all cry. And that's what our job is to help you teach your people how to recognize those things, defend against them, and save your company, families, and yourself from the problems that exist from these malicious attacks. You can get information on social-engineer.com about all of our services and check it out there. In addition, we run a Slack channel. Every month, people still text me or ping me on Twitter and say, hey, where do I find that link? It's in the show notes right below down here. Okay. But if you go there, follow Ed. It's down there. Okay. It's a great channel. We have over 1,000 people in there now every day talking about vishing, phishing, pretexting, psychology, persuasion, influence. We have a career board in there. We've had, I think, 5 or 6 people find jobs, and not just at my company, other companies, through the Slack channel. So come on in and check it out. In addition, if you're a fan at all, you better go check out pro-rock.com. Listen to Clutch, best rock band on the planet Earth. And we love them because they're the music here for the podcast. And Neil's on the Innocent Lives Foundation, which is our very next announcement. Please go support us at innocentlivesfoundation.org. The amazing team there. We have now just accomplished over 300 cases where our 4-year anniversary has just passed. And we are still fighting to stop child predators and help children find some freedom and innocence, being able to not have to worry about those things. We know it's a big fight, and we know it's going to take a long time. But with your help and support, we're making some waves. So thank you for supporting us in that. You can check out the work at innocentlivesfoundation.org. Now, let's get to the meat of the show. I am really excited about this. I've known Ed for a bajillion years. And everybody knows Ed if you're in the community, but let's tell you a little bit about for any that one person that's listening that hasn't heard about Ed Skoudis. So you probably know him from SANS. He's a SANS Institute Fellow, instructor, and director at Cyber Ranges. He's the founder of CounterHack, which is an innovative cybersecurity company that works as security advisors to governments, military, commercial enterprises, really focusing on things like pen testing, red teaming, incident response, digital forensics, focusing on the very thing we just talked about, which is breaches and understanding them, really giving keynotes on that, talking about that. Here's the thing that really impresses me, because I'm a teacher myself, 20,000 students. Ed has taught 20,000 students in his career in computer. There you are. And here's Ryan. I had to hire him because of that, right? Incident response, pen testing, as well as many other topics. And Ed's the creator of the SANS Holiday Hack Challenge, which I'm sure many of us have taken a part in. And it's just a free gift that he gives out to the community and we'll talk about that today, why these kinds of things, these little CTFs are so important, but it really helps people to build up their cybersecurity skills in a fun way. That's kind of like a quirky adventure that helps people to get into the season. Anyhow, I know it's a lot, but Ed, I can't thank you enough for everything that you do for the community and being here with us.
Shucks. Chris, thank you so much. Ryan, thank you too. It's great to be here. Congratulations on the many years of this podcast and all the great work that you and your team do. And I should point out that the holiday hack is really the gift. It's from our whole team here. It's not just me. It's from everybody. And we're hard at work on it. I can't wait to talk to you more about what's going on with that.
Yeah, it's always exciting, these things. Actually, I don't want to jump into that because at first I want to just find out, because you, like, reading that off, that's a huge career and you're not an old guy. So how did you get into this? How did you start this? How did you get into the information security career industry?
So, I'll go back to when I was a kid, like a fairly little kid, 8, 9, 10 years old. I tore things apart. Maybe you did too. It seems to be fairly common in our industry. Yeah. And, when I got sort of proficient at a soldering iron, this might have been 12, 13, 14 years old, I would unsolder all of the circuits of like thrown away radios and stuff. I couldn't put them back together ever. No. But I could take them apart. I could dissect them with the best of it and start researching and learning. And I remember Radio Shack. Rest in peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd go to Radio Shack and buy kits from that and start putting them together. And then I went to college and studied electrical engineering with a sort of sub-focus on computer engineering.
Huh.
How do you put computers together, as part of electrical engineering? How do you do simulations and things like that? Went to grad school and focused on information networking, which is, just how can computers talk to each other and how can we build distributed applications on them? So I kind of made a move from hardware into more software. And then I got my first job working for Bell Communications Research, Bellcore. So if you look really carefully, we used to say that the people who work at Bell, we have a bell-shaped head. And there, there I was really fortunate because I got on the security team there. So my work there started with how are the phone companies getting hacked, both from the telephony side of it. So, a lot of stuff associated with Kevin Pollak and Kevin Mitnick and, all that kind of stuff. And then also from the sort of nascent IP networks that they had. How are they getting hacked there? So I did a lot of incident response, digital forensics analysis of how the phone companies were getting hacked. And then they're like, well, gee, maybe to stop us from getting hacked, we should have these people who know how we get hacked hack us. So that kind of made my move into penetration testing. And, I did it for the phone companies at first, did that for 5 or 6 years. Then I moved on and started doing it for various government agencies and military groups. And then from there, I started forming companies with my friends where we're doing it for all different kinds of organizations. Ultimately, fast forwarding to CounterHack, which is a company I founded 11 years ago now. And our focus, our mission statement is we want to do top-notch, high-quality work in security services, mostly penetration testing, but also expert witness and the stuff you mentioned earlier, with people that we love. And by that, we mean our employees, our team, right? The team is so vital. Chris, you talk about that all the time, the importance of the team. And our customers. We love our customers. And then the end part of our mission is to help make the world a safer, more secure place. So, that's what we're really trying to do. Our team, we're up to 13 people now. We're not trying to get giant or anything like that. We just want to do really high quality work. Yeah. I don't want to put you on the spot, but how big is your team these days?
17. So about the same size as yours. And I love what you just said, because for me, it's nice to keep the team smaller because you could take the work that you like and you're not forced to just take anything that comes in because you have this giant team, and we can be really picky and choosy about the type of work that we do. And I love that because we're like you.
Not focusing on growth really does give you some great opportunities, and it really changes everything. These companies that have to be focused on growth because of investors and because of promises they've made, that changes the whole culture in a very profound way. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's cool, right? There's very successful friends of ours, and that's fantastic. I like keeping it small. We might add another person or 2 or 3 in the coming year, but we're really happy now.
Yeah.
So what do you look for when you're building this team? Like, having a small team really requires you to have quality people in your team, or else your whole product suffers for that. So what's your process?
So it's not super formal as a process, but really we kind of hire people that we know. It's people that we've seen in the industry. We've seen them doing things. We see them presenting at conferences. Some of them are SANS instructors. Some of them have presented at Black Hat or DEF CON. They're contributing back to the community. So they write blogs, they do webcasts, they do talks. We're talking, really high quality, high integrity individuals. That's what we're looking for. Also technically very skilled. We don't really have any junior members. And maybe you could say that's one thing that we're bad at. We don't take junior members in and make them into, senior players. We kind of find senior players. Now, there is a bit of an exception to that. The other avenue that we use to find people is people who do exceptionally well on the challenges we create. And I know, Chris, you want to talk about the challenges a little later, but we're talking things like Holiday Hack or Net Wars. If you're a champion in those things, that puts you on our radar screen, and we look for those folks as well. So it's people that we know either through our industry experience and conference experience, or it's people that we've kind of helped grow as we've seen them start Net Wars and start Holiday Hack Challenge and develop over the years, and we see them becoming some of the best practitioners in this space. So that's kind of how we grow people, is through our range work, not through hiring junior and making them senior.
So how long will you observe a person to determine if there's the integrity that you want or the skill that you want before you make the move to say, hey, come aboard?
Probably at the lowest, it's 2 years.
Wow.
But on average, it's probably 4 or 5, maybe more. Yeah, it's quite a while. I think one of the people that we knew least, so he was more on the 2-year spectrum of this, was Chris Elgie. Great guy on our team. I don't know if you know him. He's
I know of him. I don't know him personally.
Certified sales instructor. I probably knew him for 2.5, 3 years by the time he had joined. But I had seen him as a National Guard soldier completely destroy our Cyber City environment, which was awesome. And I complimented it because he was the leader of that team. And he was the only leader of a National Guard group. All the other leaders jumped with their fingers on keyboard, and Chris didn't. And he explained to his other soldiers what they should do. And he was just as technical, if not more technical, than any of them. But as a leader, he knew that he could achieve more with his team if he stood back, let them excel, and then give them some advice and to move them forward. So I saw that and I complimented on that. I said, you are an impressive technical leader. And he had some really, really kind words to say. But that put him on my radar screen. And then I got to know him as he became more of a SANS instructor, doing some of the mentoring and such that needed to be done with that. And we then invited 16 different potential SANS instructors to New Jersey. They called it Ed Camp. So we spent a week with all these instructors, kind of talking with them about, what it means to teach and how to teach and such. And I spent a whole week with these folks. They were fantastic. And Chris was among the best of them. And I got wind of it about a year later that he was looking for a job. So I sent him an offer right away. It's like, let's do this. But that was probably 2.5 years. And I think that's one of our shortest ones. That's
an interesting process. So let me divert from that, because I think this is a topic that can really help. I was reading an article that there's 526,000 jobs needed in infosec right now in this country.
In U.S., yeah. That's
in the U.S., right?
Yep, I can see that.
We are not really filling them well. In this country. And we could see that by the amount, how we're behind, America's behind in the cyber warfare, right? So, let's say there's a company that's not like yours and ours, right? So they need people, they need to grow their team, and they can't wait 2 to 4 years. What advice would you give them to find these quality, integrity, holding people without having to say, I need 2 or 4 years of observance before I can hire this guy?
Right. So there are a lot of things that have started up in just the last couple of years that can really help with that. There's an organization focused on cyber talent development called CyberStart America, and they're looking for young people, which means high school up to maybe college, and they're turning out a list of really interesting and good candidates. So potential employers might want to check out CyberStart America. It's a challenge with millions of dollars in scholarships. But if you see people who've done well in that, they have really good skills and capabilities.
That's nice.
Another thing you might want to check out is SANS actually runs a series of academies. These are offered to people who qualify to get SANS training, a significant amount of SANS training, multiple classes for free. And the first one was for veterans. They have another one for women, another one for underserved minority communities. And they're turning out tremendous people. SANS does work with them to help place them in great employers. But they are producing really, really high quality professionals out of that team. There is an application process, but if you do a search on SANS academies, you could probably find each of them. There is an application process because, I mean, it comes with a pretty significant scholarship and then, help in landing a job. But I'm very proud of that work. There are many people in SANS that work to make that happen. So the SANS academies is another thing people could look at. And then, one thing I do look for is, people who are blogging and actively contributing. Mm-hmm. I think that helps. And I know that some of the bigger employers, I probably shouldn't name them here, but historically, they've gone to places like DerbyCon or even DEF CON to try to find good people there. I think when we start going back to live conferences, I mean, DEF CON happened, but in a smaller capacity. But hopefully that will continue to open up. And I think I've seen companies be very successful in finding great individuals at B-sides, at various hacker conferences. For those who are at those companies, don't let that hacker conference thing scare you. There are great people to be found and employed from those kinds of venues.
Yeah. That's good advice because, we get asked this question a lot. Like sometimes we see these ads for people hiring and it's entry-level position, must have 4 years experience and a bachelor's degree. And you're like, wait, hang on. I'm confused. Because you're saying it's entry level, which means you're paying this person $40, $50, whatever, $60,000 a year, but you want them to have 4 years of experience?
Where did they get that from? Exactly.
Like what? Like how do they get it if they're entry level? Right?
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Another thing that I would encourage other people who are hiring or, starting companies, entrepreneurs, people like, you guys and me, I really don't care about the degrees my people have. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I think you should say it. I haven't found that it correlates directly to their capabilities. Yeah. I have a vague notion of that my people on my team went to college, but I don't know for sure. And they have degrees that are so diverse in so many different things that I don't really focus on that. I focus more on the capabilities that people have. Yeah. That's really telling, and that's why I think you should look at their body of work, not just a degree. Have they blogged? Have they developed tools? Are they contributing back to the community? Are they doing presentations at conferences and such? That should add up to a lot, as opposed to just having a degree or a given cert.
And that's a nice bit of advice, I feel, for those who maybe are looking to get into a career in this field, because you're not just, you just said, hey, employer, here's the way you can find people. But then if I'm a person wanting to be an employee, you also just gave me a nice roadmap. Like, just start giving back, start speaking, and I know that a lot of people will say, but I'm not as good as Ed. I'm not as good as Ryan. Why would I go give a speech at a conference? So what? You're not as good. You got to start somewhere. Right?
Yeah,
absolutely. And a lot of conferences will set aside a time or a track for new talks. Yeah. I know they do that at Wild West Hackin' Fest, for example. And that's great. So you can go there and give a talk. And if your talk's not that great, you've learned. And I guarantee somebody in the audience will have gotten something out of your talk. Maybe a lot of people will. So doing it. Now, some people are a little shy and don't want to do public speaking. Well, that's fine. You can do blogging, or you can, contribute in other mechanisms. And then playing CTFs. Such as Holiday Hack Challenge or others, that can help establish some cred for you as well. That said, the advice that I gave, don't focus on degrees or certs to employers, was because we have 536,000 jobs that need to be filled. So if you just focus on degrees and certs, you're not going to find them.
Right.
But I do think the most effective thing that an individual looking to get one of those jobs could do is to give back to the community. Still, certs can help. They can put your name on a radar screen of something. That's why they exist, right? They can help show that you have a certain level of expertise. And degrees don't hurt. So I wouldn't want anybody to listen to this podcast and say, oh, I'm dropping out of my degree program and I'm going to do CTFs. It's like, wait. No, you've gone a little too far there. There is some value to them. Now, Ed ignores it, but there are other employers that do care about those things. We got to be honest.
I'm right there with you. Like, we don't ever disparage someone for having a degree. But I'm more interested if they have OSCP or a high-end SANS cert or something that shows me you got some practical skill in the field that I'm hiring you for.
Right.
And I would rather see that than you have a 4-year degree in art.
Exactly.
Well, also to piggyback on the contributing back to the community, I think some people might be hesitant because maybe what they're learning has already been talked about but they don't see the value of their perspective on that particular topic. So maybe they could go give a speech on something someone else has talked about, but they give their own perspective and show what they've learned, and that not only helps them doing the public speaking, but also gets someone noticing that they're paying attention to that particular topic.
It's absolutely true. John Strand at Black Hills Information Security talks about this very well. He said, there seems to be too much focus on talks at events, B-sides, Black Hat, DEF CON, etc., of wizards impressing wizards.
Right.
Yeah.
And where the actual real practical work in cybersecurity gets done is it's people helping large numbers of people to get stuff done from different perspectives. That's the great point that you bring, Ryan, is, somebody can learn how to configure this or that system securely, but the systems are constantly changing, and what you need to do to secure them is constantly changing. And also, the use cases are changing, and you might discover some simplified way of configuring it that the person who wrote the canonical paper on that didn't think about, or you have a way to check the configuration. It's stuff like that. There's so much that can be done. Okay. Josh Wright, he's a guy that works on my team. He and I talk a lot about this very depressing thing, and I'm sure you guys have observed it as well. So, I'll be working on something, say 5 years ago, and I'm working on, some bizarre, obscure part of Windows that's hackable in this way or that way. And I'll work on it for, a few months and achieve whatever I need to achieve, write a white paper about it or do a talk on it, and then just forget about it, right? I move on to other things. 5 years later, turns out I'm doing a pen test or something's come up and I need to see what the state of the art of that thing is now. Where have people taken it in the 5 years since I abandoned it? And Josh talks to me about this all the time. I see it all the time. And you look it up and it turns out nobody touched it.
Yeah.
The work that you did 5 years ago, that's all there is. And it's like, that work sucked, honestly. I barely scraped by. And nobody's gone any further. And it's depressing. It's maybe I have too high of a thought of our work, and it's not that interesting to move forward. But that said, there's a lot of cool things that are just kind of sitting there waiting for the next set of people to pick them up and carry them forward. That's one of the things that InfoSec Twitter is good for, is to kind of keep up with what people are researching. Then they'll move on to other things, and then you can kind of go and say, hey, I want to follow up and carry this thing forward to the next level.
Yeah, I think for us, what I like about the social engineering field is it's easy to say nothing has changed in humans ever. where the vulnerabilities still exist as they did from our origin. So you're not going to come up with the brand new hotness. What you're going to do is tell your experience in it. Like I was joking about Ryan, but his speech at DEF CON SE Village like 3 years ago is still one of our most downloaded and watched speeches in our company history. And it's all about him being a deep introvert and becoming a social engineer.
That's
so
awesome.
It is literally how to be a social engineer when you're like everybody else in this community, and that is what people wanted to hear. But we didn't know that. When he wrote that, we were like, okay, we hope people like this, but we didn't know it was going to be that popular.
Yeah.
And it's nothing new. It's just his experience in doing it.
And relatability, I think, and just, you never know what's going to land. There's this old quote. It's by, remember MGM, Metro Goldwyn Mayer? It's by one of those guys that founded that movie company. And he was talking about, how can you tell if a movie's going to be successful? And this is in the 1920s or something like that, 1930s. And here's what he said. He says, nobody knows nothing. Now, obviously, that's a double negative, but put that aside. The point is, you never know which of your talks are going to be amazingly helpful for people. So you throw stuff out there and you see. Yep. Now, sometimes you got an inkling like this one's actually extra good, but that's rare. Sometimes the ones you think are going to be great, kind of are flat. The ones you think are kind of, well, this is all right, I guess. And it turns out people really like that. Yeah. So throw it out there. Right.
I love that advice. I love it. Now, a few times in our discussion already, you mentioned the value of things like CTFs, like Holiday Hack Challenge.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that they are so valuable for people in this community, whether you're in it already or you want to be in it?
Yeah, because they do so many things simultaneously. One is they give you a practical way to put hands on keyboard and try to solve problems. Now, you got to choose good ones, right? But to solve practical problems that we as cybersecurity professionals face. So practicality, very important. They can be fun, right? So you can just have a good time trying to solve these well-crafted challenges that try to bring out the fun. Gamification is an element of that fun. So that's a second reason to do them, the fun. The third is most of them allow you to work as a team. So you can build some friends, you can kind of build your own little community and so forth. The fourth is some of them let you publish your answers, or they will judge your results and you can win. So that's, you're building up. If you can publish things, then you're building up your name in the community and helping the community and maybe building a reputation for yourself. So I think across all those different things, as long as you choose good challenges. Now, if you choose crap challenges, don't be surprised if they frustrate you and you hate them. They're not fun. They're not practical. You're not learning real things. So you got to choose the right challenges. But if you choose the right ones, they are instrumental in developing careers. In fact, my own career, I mentioned that I was at Belcor. And so here I am, this kid out of college, and, I get put on the security team of essentially this sort of group within the phone company that is trying to keep the phone company safe and secure. It's a part of Bell Labs. I was terrified. I didn't think you talk about imposter syndrome. I mean, most of the people I worked with have PhDs. We talked about how degrees don't matter, but still I felt that. Here I am with this master's degree, and I'm surrounded by PhDs. It's like, I can't possibly compete with them. And now I don't recommend this for today. This was quite a while ago, but we all had Sun OS workstations, 412, 413.
I would not recommend that for today, just to reiterate. Just to reiterate, yes.
Well, the part that I would recommend is this. We had an open understanding among our security team. This is the team that did incident response and penetration testing for the phone companies, that if somebody could hack into your workstation, they were allowed to. They were not allowed to go through your files, but they could get there and plant a flag. So it was like, okay, so I've got a bunch of PhDs in computer science that have spent the last 20 years trying to secure the phone system. And I'm this kid right out of college, and I got to deal with this. But it was sort of gamification, right? I mean, we didn't have public CTFs at the time. Although there was the big DEF CON CTF, and that's back when I started playing that. But it really did advance my career and my knowledge of Sun OS security when I've got 10 or 15 PhDs trying to hack into my machine every day. So that's a little bit more about how I cut my teeth. But it was sort of gamified and kind of got me into this whole sort of, hey, this CTF thing is interesting. And then I started playing the Black Hat or the DEF CON game, and I got into a whole bunch of different CTFs. And then finally, I wrote my first CTF for the SANS 504 class. That's on incident handling and hacker attacks. So I wrote my first CTF then, started doing the Holiday Hack Challenge stuff at that time. We're up to, I think, 18 years of Holiday Hack Challenge now.
Wow.
Yep. So now I've got a whole team that works on these challenges, and there's kind of a neat virtuous cycle from that too, because I mentioned that, we do penetration tests, expert witness. We work on a lot of the breach cases. What we learn in those cases is what we use to build our CTFs and challenges and cyber ranges and net wars, so that we can make sure they're reflective of the real world. Mm-hmm. And then we take what we learned by watching our players play and how they, do even better than we expect. And we take that and feed that back into our own penetration testing and expert witness stuff. And in fact, I just saw a Slack message from one of my guys yesterday, Ron Bose. Ron Bose, fantastic person to work with. I love having him on the team. He was working on some technical analysis, and he said, this happens all the time to us. You guys maybe you'd be surprised at it, but we will have some finding in a penetration test that the thing was just so poorly built and configured and designed, and the crypto was bad. If we put that in a CTF, people would say, that's lame. No one would ever actually do that. Yeah. We had one of those moments yesterday where Ron said, if I put this in a CTF, people would say it was bad. Yeah. But it's our major finding of this pen test. Yeah. So what do you? So we were debating, should we just put it in? And the answer is yes, put it in. Yeah. I mean, it came directly from a pen test. People are still making the same mistakes, or making even worse mistakes, or the same kind of mistakes that they were in the past. And you could say that's a failure of us as an industry. But one of the things we can do is make more people with higher skills, and I think CTFs are a part of that.
So can you back that off a little bit and kind of give some advice for people who hear this and hear you say, find quality CTFs? How do you determine and find quality CTFs? Do you have any advice for anyone to do that? Sure.
So there's a couple places, 3 places they can go, and I hope you'll indulge me. Let me say one of the places you can go is Holiday Hack Challenge. HolidayHackChallenge.com. It's my team for free, working thousands of hours every year to give you the highest quality challenges we can, and they're all free, and we keep them up. We keep up the previous 3 years. So right now, if you want to play Holiday Hack Challenge 2018, 2019, and 2020, you can play all of them. And they're the highest quality challenges we're capable of building. A team of 13 people putting our hearts and souls into it with help from other people. We have volunteer challenge writers for Holiday Hack as well. So holidayhackchallenge.com, check that out. There's a couple other places that you can go, though. One is called CTF Time, ctftime.org. And I see Chris making a note, probably. Thank you.
I'm typing it so we can put it in the show notes.
Yep. ctftime.org. They have over 120, last I looked, different CTFs that they're tracking and such. Some exist just for a short period of time. It's this coming weekend. But others exist for a longer period of time. So you should check out CTF Time. There's WeChal. I believe it's .net. WECHALL.net. They have an inventory of lots of different challenges, and they crowdsource ratings of these things. So you can look and see people who've actually played. Did they enjoy it? Did they like it? And you're, like I said, you're looking for things that are practical, real world, hands-on skills. You're looking for things that are fun. And if you look at WeChal and CTF Time, they're talking, is this a good challenge? Is it fun? The fun factor for it, right?
Nice.
Practicality, though, and fun, I think, are the biggest things. Then, WeChal, for example, will list whether you're allowed to post answers, because for some of them, they say don't post answers. For Holiday Hack, we ask that when a new one launches in December, that you don't post your answers until it closes in January. Mm-hmm. But then you can post your answers, and people can play with your answers for the rest of the next couple of years. So we do allow posting the answers at Holiday Hack. For Holiday Hack challenges pre-2018, you can read the write-ups that people have, and there's, I think, a lot to be learned from the write-ups. So I'm not saying that our team did it. It's other people writing up the results of the challenges we posed. So yeah, WeChal, CTF Time. There's also a team. It's called Open to All. And Open to All is a team of CTF players. It's over 300 people. And they get together for various CTFs and compete. And you might say, well, how does a team of 300 people actually function? The idea is all 300 are not available at the same time. But if you join the Open to All team, maybe 5 or 6 are available this weekend to work on a given challenge. And another. So you can meet some friends, and they have some really good principles that they organize around in the Open to All team.
So for those people that will want to partake in CTFs, because I think this is an important point, how long do you and your team spend preparing the Holiday Hack Challenge? Oh,
over a year. It's usually 14 or 15 months. I start on the storyline before we launch the current years. So right now we're going to launch one in December, right? But the storyline I've been working on since probably October of last year. And Josh Wright, again, the guy on my team, Josh is the main person who organizes the construction of the challenges. And I'm primarily the story person. But what'll happen is I'll get a good idea. Santa Claus will whisper into my ear and tell me what the story is going to be for the following year. And it's usually like November or even December. So it's just before we launched Holiday Hack Challenge 2020, say. And I'll call Josh. I'm like, dude, I've got it. I know what Holiday Hack Challenge 2021 is going to be about. Do you want to hear it? Do you want to hear it? And he's like, no, I have to launch the challenge in 2 weeks. I don't want to hear about next year's. Because whenever he hears about next year's, it's like, wow, I want to work on that. So he indulges me because I think he likes me, I think. And I do sign his paychecks. That I know.
He likes you.
I sign his paychecks and he's like, oh, okay, tell me. But yeah, we got a good story coming up for this year. And the team is very hard at work making it happen.
I think that's a valuable point because sometimes people don't realize the amount of work that goes into a CTF. We do the SE CTF every year, and it takes us 8 to 10 months to prep the CTF, and we're not even doing a storyline like you guys are. And people I think need to hear, like, when you come in, if something really frustrates you or it didn't work right, don't get mad at the people who made it because that was a year of their life that they did it for nothing. The
hardest things to make these things effective are scalability, right? Because we had 19,000 people play Holiday Hack Challenge last year. So
really?
Scalability, stability under scale, and concurrency. Concurrency is really hard. How can you get 500 or 600 advanced players playing the same thing at the same time without it causing issues of scale, issues of performance, issues of stability. We spend so much time sweating the details of scale, stability, and concurrency.
Can't even imagine the resources it takes to put that on for free for the community. Like, that's amazing.
It costs money. It does. Yeah.
Wow,
but we've got
Ed,
great
that's
partners.
amazing.
We got great partners in SANS with that. It's the SANS Holiday Hack Challenge after all. Google helps us out as well. They've been a sponsor. Splunk is a consistent sponsor over the last couple of years. So they've been very helpful. We are looking for additional sponsors for that. Not only are you sponsoring the great challenges, you're sponsoring KringleCon, which is the conference. And you're sponsoring, we release an album of new music every year, new holiday music that's kind of quirky and fun, made by some of the best musicians in our space. Dual Core has done songs for us, fantastic. We've got Count Ninja has done some great stuff. Keith Myers has been done music for us over the past couple of years. So there's a new album, and then last year we released the albums on streaming. So if you're on any of the streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, whatever you're on, you can just look for Holiday Hack Challenge or SANS Holiday Hack Challenge, and you'll find all of our albums on those streaming services.
And where do people, like if someone's listening to this podcast and they're like, I want to sponsor that, where can they go? Where do they go to get info on sponsoring?
They should go to holidayhackchallenge.com, and there's a place there. There's a link where you can send in a request, and we just love to hear from you. I don't quote me on this. It's something like info@holidayhackchallenge.com. But it's all channeled through that page.
We'll put a show note for the page so people can go and check it out.
That would be wonderful. Yeah. Because we would like to get some more sponsors and such, because it does cost a lot.
It sounds like it.
Especially to keep it running year round, because we do have great support from SANS and Google and such to run it during the holiday season. That's fantastic. But the rest of the year, I'm paying for it. So yeah. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, let me ask you a few final questions here. So,
sure.
When we think about for all of us in our careers, there's usually some people, colleagues or mentors that we say, "Man, I would not be here today without that person."
Yeah,
and it's not discrediting probably the hundreds or thousands of people that helped you get where you are.
Yeah,
but there's usually like one or two or something that are just like, "Wow, that person is one of the reasons I'm here." Can you think of someone that you would say you respect the most or that really helped?
Let me give you a few people, because each one of them has contributed something different to me, and maybe that will be useful for people to reflect on who's contributed to their lives, and also maybe where they could get some more contribution. So the first one I'd like to start with is my Nana. Evelyn Hiddings was her name. When I was a little kid, Nana would encourage my creativity. She always had crayons and blocks, and she just would want me to build things and such. And that really got me started. Nana was the start. And then after that, I had a boss named Miriam Hernandez-Kakel. And Miriam, she showed me what professionalism looked like and how I could take my creativity and apply it professionally. I worked for her when I was at Bellcore, part of Bell Labs, right? So I worked for Miriam there, and she really showed me that putting attention to quality and taking care of customers and giving back to the community. The next one is Mike Poore. You know Mike, right?
I do.
Mike Poore was a SANS instructor, founder of InGuardians. What I learned from Mike Poore is to savor life. I would see Mike as he would go out to a restaurant and work with the waitstaff to deliver an amazing meal to himself and to the rest of us. And Mike really helped to emphasize that sort of savoring of life, and really brought my understanding and realization to kind of the next level. So I thought that was great. And then the final one, and I'm sorry that there's so many of these, but they're brief.
It's okay.
Johnny Long. Johnny is such a great guy, contributing back to the community, and he showed me that a person of faith can fully, contribute to this community in a very positive way, and make the world a better place. So those folks.
You know what I love about your list is, sometimes, and there's nothing wrong when people do this, but your list, like when you're mentioning people that helped you in your life become who you are, not necessarily in infosec.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That's cool.
True.
It's a different way of looking at it, Ed.
And I do have one more that I should mention. Alan Paller, the founder of SANS, he showed me how you can make the world a better place and do well in business sense too. And in fact, to have the best impact, to make the world a safer place, you kind of need some business help there, right? To do good, you need to do well so that you can fund the doing of good. You know what I mean? I just mentioned, right? I keep Holiday Hack running out of my own pocket. Well, I have to make that money to send to, the cloud providers to make Holiday Hack running. So it's okay with being a successful business person because that gives you the resources you can use to help mentor people, to help make the world a better place. So Alan really not only told me that, he showed me that. And that's really important. So each of these different people has had a different impact on different aspects of my life. And I am the collection of what they've, given me in that realm. So those are my mentors. There's a lot of them.
What a great answer.
Great people.
Thank you. If you had to give one piece or a couple of pieces of advice for companies based on some of the things we talked about today, what would you say is like the top 1 or 2 or 3 things that companies should be doing or looking at?
Do you mean to recruit people and build their security teams?
To build a good quality team of like people that are filled with integrity and loyalty.
I would suggest to them that corporate culture is the most important thing that leadership does and manufactures. Now, you say manufacture, it makes it sound like it's not real, but you have to be thoughtful and meaningful about the culture and about how do you make it fun and interesting to the kinds of people, the diverse kinds of people that are in our industry. There's people with all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of capabilities, all kinds of smarts in different areas. How can you and be very purposeful thinking of how you can have challenges, how you can have meetings, how you can just have fun, all working together. I can give you one example. Again, don't want to toot my own horn, but we went to Circle City Con. So took the whole team to Circle City Con a couple of years ago, back before COVID, shut everything down. And we were at Circle City Con, and the conference hotel was right next to a shopping mall, right? And we decided to go for a walk through the shopping mall. I mean, why not? And they had this one place in the shopping mall that was like where you sit on these giant stuffed animals that are motorized and you can zoom around. So it was half my team was there. I think we had 8 or 9 of us, right? Not everybody had gone into the shopping mall. Some of the others wanted to go do something else. So I went up to the lady. I'm like, hey, how much to rent 8 of those things? And the ladies told me whatever the money was. And I'm like, we're in. And some people on my team were like, he's not going to do this, is he? But we cruised around the area in the mall. But doing stuff like that might seem a little silly. It can't be too forced. It's got to be sort of, organic. But just fun things for the team, thinking about how they can enjoy themselves. And then taking input from the team. Or even empowering them to come up with fun things to do as a group or as a team. One of the things that some folks on my team really like to do is to get together for lunch, like one Friday a month, virtually, now that COVID is, still doing its thing. And that has served them well. They seem to really enjoy it, and they get together and hang out for that. I join them sometimes I can't. But, it's being purposeful about that culture to appeal to folks like the folks on your team, my team, and in our industry.
That's awesome.
So you keep talking about how many hours it takes for your team to do things and the wonderful team you've put together. What advice would you give for helping leaders or just employers in general, or even team members for combating burnout or self-care and coping, like the mental health aspect?
Yes.
Do you have any words on that?
Oh gosh, yeah, so many important things there. Now, look, please understand, I do feel like I get burned out. Sometimes I took my glasses off. You can see how tired I look right now. Right, the glasses cover that up a little bit. But I mean, what we do, I just did a presentation for my team yesterday, and I said I do this presentation I call State of the Onion. It's the second Monday of every month. And it's just me going through the state of our business, how we're looking. I started doing it when COVID hit because I didn't want people to be afraid or anything like that. So it's like once a month, we're going to talk about the state of our business. Here's our goes intos. Here's our goes outas. Here's how the business is looking. Here's how, healthy, cash on hand, et cetera, et cetera. We go through all that. Mm-hmm. And then there's usually some business reflections. I do a little bit at the start and a little bit at the end. And my business reflections on the end of yesterday's State of the Onion. And by the way, there are little pictures of onions throughout the presentation, of course. But State of the Onion, I said, look, what we do is hard, right? And what we do is intense, and it can take a lot out of you. But what we do is important and good. I had a slide that essentially said those words. But so what Ryan's talking about here, this burnout thing, is very real. There's been a lot of analysis done. Jack Daniels done some analysis of this. Jack Daniels, the cybersecurity practitioner, not the
I knew it, but that's good to clarify. Yeah,
of course you have to clarify.
Yeah.
Some of the listeners are like, "What? Jack Daniels has a solution?"
Find your answers at the auto bottle now.
Yeah, your bottle of whiskey talks to you, man. That's important.
My Coke Zero might. My Coke Zero.
Yeah.
But so here's some tips though that I've found that are so vital in my life. First thing, rituals. Now, rituals has got a lot of bags. So the rituals, really. Look, every Saturday morning, I go and I get a bagel. Bagels, they got a lot of calories, right? I don't do it every day, but I go and I get my delicious. I happen to live about 8 miles from the best bagels in the world, so I get my bagel every Saturday morning. As soon as I finish eating my bagel, I call mom. It's a ritual. I heard my wife talking to my mom on the phone last night, and my mom said, Ed calls me 9 a.m. every Saturday morning, no matter what. And it's like, I have to. It's part of my ritual. The other thing is I go for my daily morning walks. That's sort of the exercise I get. It's a half hour to maybe an hour and a half every single morning, 7 days a week for the last 21 years. So it's just this thing that's kind of baked in there. And if you're getting stressed, you're getting frustrated, you can always think, well, I got this next ritual coming up. I got my next bagel coming next Saturday. I got calling mom. I've got calling dad. I've got my daily morning walk coming up. The other thing is just calling friends out of the blue. Mm-hmm. This is something, I do. And maybe this says something about me. I will call friends out of the blue. I'll just pick up the phone and I call Dave Kennedy. Hey, Dave, how's it going? No reason whatsoever. I'll call John Strand. Hey, John Strand, how you doing? Or Tim Medine. I can just call them. And each of them always says this to me. Well, thanks for calling, Ed. I want to call you, but I'm afraid you're too busy. Which maybe that says something bad about me that they don't call me. But that said, I encourage this in my team. I encourage this, anybody in the industry. When you've made these friendships, just call. You don't have to have a reason. My reason for calling Dave might be I haven't talked to you in 3 months, Dave, or you're looking great or something like that. So calling friends. So these rituals, just build them into your schedule, some on a daily basis, some on a weekly basis. Second thing, gratefulness. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling stressed, pause yourself and just think about what you're grateful for, And now you got to be real careful with this because I was pretty depressed Saturday. What's that? A few days ago, right? I was depressed on Saturday, and here's what. So I was going to fix it. I had my bagel. I called mom. Things were good, but my daughter, she just left to go overseas for a master's degree, and she's going to be gone for like 14 months. So I was depressed. So I'm sitting there thinking, I got to do the gratefulness thing. So what am I grateful for? So I'm grateful for my family. Well, yeah, but my daughter just took off and my son is an issue. And this, you got to get rid of the but. Yeah. When you're doing your grateful thing, right? You're thinking, I'm grateful for this. I got a sweet computer, or look, I got this thing, or this person is in my life and all. If you find yourself being grateful for something and then you go to but, stop it. Just stop with the but. Leave that off. Focus on what you're grateful for. And then one more thing for you. Okay, so we got the rituals, we got the gratefulness. Final thing, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling bad, get the heck off social media for 2 or 3 days. It will serve your life in such a positive. I'm not saying stay off it forever, right? But it is great to not be on Twitter for 2 days. And Jack Dorsey, I'm talking to you. Okay. It can get very depressing. Yes, it's great to look at, Dave Kennedy's biceps every once in a while, but you don't have to every day. Okay. So just taking 2 days off of Twitter, I think can help cheer you up and being more intentional about gratefulness and calling friends, right? It's not rocket science, but those are things that I find I really do try to practice.
What's funny?
I'm thankful for that list because that's amazing.
Yeah, what is amazing about the list is my trainer. He in our check-in sheet, there's a box for each day, and I'm supposed to write something I'm grateful for.
Oh, good.
And when I first started with him, we're going back now 20 weeks. I started with him. I was irritated by this box. I'm like, I'm paying you to help me get in shape. Like, why do I need to pick out something I'm grateful for? And I would complain to him. I'd be like, I don't need to, I don't want to do this, And he would be like, I just need you every day. I need you to do it. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to commit to it. Like, I'm paying this guy. He knows something. So I'm going to do it. And now 20 weeks into it, when I miss a day, I'm like, oh no, sit here and think about like something I'm grateful for. I feel guilty, and I found that there are days that are really difficult, but having that exercise at night, because I try to fill it out before I go to bed at night for the day, it actually helps. And there are some days where it's really difficult to think of something.
It is, yeah.
I mean, there are days where I sit here and go, I don't want to just write something lame like, oh, I'm grateful to be alive, I try to think about it, and like what today happened that really makes me feel good. But it is a wonderful exercise.
It really is. And it could be something as simple as, did you have a good bagel? Oh,
yeah.
A good bagel. I don't know if but a good bagel.
A good bagel is amazing, by the way.
I made my world famous chili yesterday. It's called Ed's Not Fit for Human Consumption chili. And I had a bowl for dinner last night and I had a bowl for lunch today. It is tasty and worth being grateful for. So it might just be something as simple as you had a good meal. And that's fine. It's this whole idea of savoring and enjoying life to get you out of that cycle of burnout and depression and frustration.
I love it.
Yeah.
Last question, Ed. 12 years we've been doing this podcast since 2009. I ask everybody that's on it for book recommendation, and it does not have to be about anything we spoke about. It can be just a book that you love. It doesn't matter.
Sure. Well, let's go with a cybersecurity book. But not directly. It's sort of fun, not technical. If you haven't read it, I encourage you to read it. It's called The Code Book. And it's by a guy named Simon Singh, Singh. It's a short book. It's maybe 270 pages long, and it's prose. But what it is it's a history of cryptography and cryptanalysis. But more important than that, it's a history of how cryptography and cryptanalysis have impacted history.
Wow.
So, and it goes back to ancient Egyptian times and talks about Mary, Queen of Scots, and Queen Elizabeth and the ciphers there and what resulted in the history of that. It goes, of course, through the Enigma machine. It's quick and light reading. It's fun. It's fascinating. If you ever wonder, why is cybersecurity and crypto in particular so important, that book shows you it has had a major, major impact on history. So, The Code Book by Simon Singh.
Thank you. I have not read that. So I always like getting book recommendations that I haven't heard of because it just adds another one to the list.
It's about 15, 20-year-old book, but it's still in print, so you should be able to get it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Ed, I can't thank you enough. I was just telling somebody on the team that I had an interview with you today, and I said, it's going to be great because he's always just like a ball of positivity.
Oh, thanks.
And you proved that to be true again. So thank you so much.
That's very kind. Tell that person that the check is in the mail. Anyway, thank you. This is great fun. It's been so good talking with you, Ryan and Chris. And thanks for all you do. Again, the show and the positivity that you guys put out in the universe. It's appreciated. It really is.
This was a great interview. So thanks for that.
Thank you, guys.
Well, everyone, thanks for joining us. Next time on the Security Awareness Series, we're going to be joined by Chris Nickerson from Layers Consulting. I'm excited about that. It has been, I think, a decade since I've had Chris on the podcast. So this will be pretty awesome to get him back here. So until next month, we'll see you. Don't forget to check out social-engineer.com, social-engineer.org, and innocentliesfoundation.org. And all the links that Ed gave us are in the show notes. So you can check them out there for CTFs and everything else that you want to do to enhance your career and just have some fun while doing it. Till next month, we'll see you.